Welcome back to Task Force Podcast, an airsoft podcast made by the airsofters for the airsofters.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode Task Force Podcast. I'm your host, Snake, joined by my co-host,
Nasty,
who's very...
always awkward.
Most definitely. And today we have a special guest on the show with us. We are joined by the Airsoft Pro League. How's it going, guys? It's really an honor to have you guys on the show.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Chris Machi and Jake from the Real Deal Airsoft here. We appreciate you having us on the show.
No, definitely.
It's an honor.
Thank you guys for taking time to be on the show with us, because I know you guys probably are busy. You guys are done filming the first season, so now I already know what happens is, the post-production shit comes into play, and a lot of editing and time spent staring at a computer wanting to stab your eyes.
Yes, the real we call it the real work starts.
The
filming's
fun's
fun,
over now.
Yeah,
right.
The filming, you're like sweating. There's pyro going off. There's special effects going off. Drones going.
Right.
And then it just comes to you become like a glorified secretary in your office.
Right.
It's terrible. I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. It's a blessing. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I mean, Jake and I, we set out to do airsoft for a living in some capacity, so we're really blessed. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining.
No, not at all. You're not to me, so.
No, I get it. Like I said, post-production, even just on our show, which takes a little bit of my time compared to the recording. The recording's much easier. It's more fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you sit down and you have to watch the same clip over and over again for 43 shots or whatever the fuck until you edit it. So...
the first time you see it, it's amazing. The 37th time, not so much.
But what's interesting about that is that in airsoft, when you do something really cool or get a really cool elimination streak, you're like, oh man, I wish I had it on camera. Well, for the APL, it's like, oh wow, we got it on 20 cameras. Now we got
Now we gotta pick the best the camera angle.
Right.
So.
No,
man.
I don't envy you guys, because we did 3 cameras for a while, and it definitely upped my editing time with 3 cameras. I loved it, but holy shit! So 20 cameras, I would
literally
probably just cry.
I would just hand somebody my credit card and say, "Take what you need off this."
Do it for me. Please. Do you like multicam the edit, or you guys just kind of pick and choose shots?
On the podcast, it makes it pretty easy, because all you gotta do is just pick whoever's talking. So you line it out for yourself pretty easily. But syncing the audio for all 3 clips, then cutting at the right thing, then color grading and making the video look good is it's just time consuming. But so now we went season 2. We went with a much better camera angle and all that fancy shit. So. But no,
I know all about that.
Yeah. So, we got a couple questions for you guys. I'm sure you'd be more than willing to answer them.
We love questions. That's why we're on Task Force Podcast.
Hey, we're the real deal.
Yeah, they're the real thing, man. We have to.
I know.
Before the questions start, I just have to say, off camera, you guys told me your government names and then asked me if I wanted to call you by your nicknames or government names. There was 0% chance I was calling you by your government names.
Thank you.
With call signs like Snake and Nasty.
Well,
0% chance.
I don't even remember how Nasty got his call sign.
Oh, it was a bad day.
It was gross, and people were like, "That's nasty."
But, I just picture myself in a bush, right? And I'm like, I'm at a Milsom, I'm in a bush like Radio Silence, which was a great op that I think both of us were at.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just picture that call sign coming over the radio, like something, call sign Nasty, and I get shot because I'm dying.
Yes.
Because I'm
you gotta say the Nasty slow. Nasty.
Yeah, you do. Nasty.
Nasty.
You gotta say it slow.
Nasty makes
you little nasty.
Nasty actually makes he makes beats, and they got a pretty good flow to them. Makes
Wait,
all
that's
the origin name right there. Don't be humble. That's the origin right there. He makes nasty beats. Are his beats nasty right now?
My beats are sick nasty, bro. Don't even come at me sideways with it, dude.
Dude, what? Am I talking to Khaled?
No.
You're
talking to Murder Beats retarded cousin boys, all right? So that's what it is. All right.
Listen, I gotta hear some of these beats. But anyway, Airsoft. We're talking about Airsoft.
Yes.
Well, if you want to hear a beat, I'll tell you right now, it will have just rolled in this intro.
Yes, I make our outros and stuff. But really, if you want to, some of my music is on SoundCloud under Easy Bake. Easy Bake. They call me Easy Bake back in the day. So Easy Bake music on SoundCloud. Easy YBAKE. You'll find me and some of my music there.
That's fire. I mean, all jokes aside, Airsoft Pro League has plenty of scoring to do for this season. So, if you want to send us some beats and, we can look through them and something makes sense, you could, we'll get you on.
I would appreciate that. Maybe we'll get a link and see what type of music you're looking for, and I can throw some stuff together for you.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
That's
but
awesome.
Anyway, so I feel like I'm on Hot 97. We're talking Airsoft.
We're already off on a good track. You see, Airsoft supporting Airsoft, guys.
Right.
And this is
and that's what Airsoft Pro League is about, know?
That's awesome.
So the first question I've got for you guys actually is, how did you both get into Airsoft? Like, how did each one of you say, stumble across Airsoft and just start playing?
So I'll answer first, and then Jake can kind of send it away because Jake is kind of more the, I guess, quote unquote off veteran of the sport.
Right.
I've been playing Airsoft for about 2.5 years, and I actually run a mixed martial arts promotion, and I own it. I co-own it with my partner Nick Canobio, Triton Fights. And Strike Force in Long Island was actually our first sponsor ever.
Nice.
And so that's how I got introduced to Airsoft, was through MMA and them being a sponsor. Once I played, I just got hooked, and then I went to the Blood Diamond was my first Milsim that I went to, and I felt like I was in Vietnam. It was crazy. Helicopters. It started raining. So
right.
That's my story.
That's pretty cool.
That's dope.
Jake, what
about you, Jake?
If your viewers don't know who I am, I'm Jake from the Real Deal Airsoft, and as you know, I'm an Airsoft tech, and I've been fascinated with Airsoft and the mechanics and all of the physics behind it, the propulsion, the trajectory, since I was a little kid. I've been collecting Airsoft guns and Airsoft replicas and stuff like that for over a decade. I'd say around 12 years now. Yeah, I've been collecting. I still have
He's almost been
all of my original guns that I've ever bought. What'd you say?
I said you've almost been playing as long as we have. We're about the 15-year mark. We've actually been in Airsoft playing and dicking with it.
Wow.
And I started. That's a long time. It's getting close to 2 decades. And so I loved Airsoft for such a long time. And around 3 to 4 years ago is when I started taking it seriously and creating educational content for other people and gameplay stuff. And that's when I found out about YouTube and about basically taking the knowledge and helping share it to everyone for free, pretty much. And long story short, I also went to a Milsim event called Blood Diamond, and I was filming an event. I was using my Daytona AK, the cool HPA gun, and on camera I get lasered in the head like a beeline, and you see the video on camera, boom, smacks me in the head. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Long story short, the guy on the other end of that gun was Chris, or one of his boys next to me.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, how ironic.
There was a session. Hold on, it gets even crazier. Then, going forward, it took me a long time to edit it, a month. The video came out. And then Chris wound up watching that video, because everyone wanted to see the event. He wound up seeing that situation. Then we both coincidentally went to a Strike Force session. And he's like, yo, are you the real deal? I'm like, he's like, were you that guy in the video? I'm like, yeah, that was me. And then he's like, I actually have an idea. I produce MMA events and fights and all this stuff. I have an idea with Airsoft. I want someone who's in the sport. Do you want to hear the idea? And then I was like, yes. And then ever since then,
it was kind of like a Mark Zuckerberg moment, I felt like, where it was like, like he invited certain people into his dorm room, certain people came and certain people didn't. Like Jake came, and it's like that, and that means everything to a guy like me, like, again, I don't really want to talk about numbers, but we put a lot of like time, effort, money is one thing. We did put a lot of money into it, but more the time, like time is the most precious commodity.
Amen to that.
And, if I could tell you the amount of time that Jake himself took away from his personal life and like brought into the Airsoft Pro League with no guarantee that this thing is going to work. The kid's invaluable, man. He really is. And he's the real deal. 100%.
Thank you.
Man,
no, I will also tell you, like, of course, I asked you to be a part of our Discord to be able to help people answer any teching questions, because really, honestly, you have a lot of very insightful things. Like, I've been in Airsoft for a long time, and I don't mind messing with a split gearbox because I can mess with the upper half of the gearbox, right? Where I'm not going to fuck with gears. But the lower half, the gears, that shit has always thrown me off, and I just don't like to do it. But there've been quite a few videos that you've put out, actually, that I've watched that I've been like, man, maybe I'd take some shit.
Maybe I'm not a pussy anymore and can do this. Yeah.
Wow. That's what I want. Wow.
And can we just pause and say, what a fucking love story?
Yeah.
That was meant to be, bro. I like that. Yeah, that hits me home. That makes me feel good.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, sorry.
I was just saying, honestly, this whole thing happened from having an open mind and from being able to hear out other people's ideas and just not leading with your ego and literally just saying, let me hear it out, and it's a beautiful adventure to create for everyone. And
everybody needs to learn that. Every fucking person on this planet needs to learn that shit. Because you know what kind of amazingness comes out of just, bro, I got an idea. And like us, them, just people, quit being fucking assholes.
Right.
Like,
I mean, and I think that, like, we got into this thing, Airsoft Pro League, but more so we got into Airsoft because it's a social thing to do.
Yeah.
And all, look, we all know we're getting a lot of pushbacks, and mainly from the Milsim heads, and we will address that, later on in the show. But, my biggest message is, like, we're doing this from the most pure place. We really, truly want to push the culture to new heights, and if it's not for a guy that really is into Milsim, I can understand that. And again, we have some future plans for that. But, that being said, we're really coming from a pure place.
Right. Well, see, and that's the thing too, is like, kind of like you were just saying, people don't really put their egos aside and say, like, look, I'm not going to lie. I love to make memes about Speedsoft because I think they're funny. But at the end of the day, like, I wouldn't make fun of you if I didn't like you. That's just the kind of person I am. But with that being said, like, Speedsoft is just another niche in Airsoft. It's like people who play Airsoft that are reenactors. Like, it's just another niche. Is it for everybody? No.
I'm too fat.
But there's people out there who really fucking enjoy that shit. There's people out there who train for milsims and fucking rappel down elevator shafts. We're not going to mention names, but everybody knows, These people go way out of their way to make it, this way for them. It's just another niche, and if you can't support that, at the end of the day, you're still shooting a white or whatever color BB at somebody fucking else. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Or we just all have the urge to kill, but we're doing it in a fun, safe way.
Exactly.
I mean,
it's just human instinct.
Just say it. I'll say it. I don't care.
It's no different. We're just going about it a different way.
Right.
That's all it is.
And I think that I call it the too cool culture. I think Airsoft sometimes has a too cool culture where it's like, I'm too cool to do that or support that unless the masses support it, and then I'm all of a sudden not too cool to support it. And that can be toxic a lot of times, and look, at the end of the day, we love Airsoft as a whole. I've been to many Milsims. I love Speedsoft because I'm a competitor. I used to fight MMA.
Right.
So it's like natural for me. Anything I do, I could be organizing my sock drawer, and it's like if someone's doing it right next to me, I'm trying to do it faster and better.
Right. You like the up close competitiveness. That's what cage fighting is. It's up close. It's competitive.
Exactly.
Like
that's all it was to me, and
and you got to be honest here too. You guys are from the New York area, at that upper east area, right?
Yeah.
So let's be honest here. How much fucking woodland area do you really have to go out and play a fucking mill sim? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm over here.
I got a trail outside my house.
Right. Like, you see what I'm saying? Is like, I'm out here talking about like, oh, we've got a couple, like one field here is like 40 acres when we were talking. We were talking to 5 Bro, and I was like, how many acres is your guys' outdoor field? And he was like, acres. That shit's funny. It's like 2 blocks. I was like, holy shit. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
So from the inside of, my brain, I'm like, well, no shit, these guys aren't going to play big ass mill sims. They're used to CQB, so Speedsoft obviously is probably going to be the normal thing they do. Like, heavily Airsoft has been influenced by the paintball culture up there, which is fine. I mean, it's just a different niche. Is it for everybody? No. And I mean, that's pretty much.
I have an interesting thing to say about Milsim and Speedsoft is that as they do differ, I think it's amazing that those differences can be battled and set aside in something like the Airsoft Pro League, where it's not about who can eliminate the other team the fastest. It's about who can complete an objective under extreme pressure and stress with sensory overload, with so much going on. And now you could have a Speedsoft loadout and you could fly down the lane and be flashy, or you could have that Milsim tactical advantage where you're
smooth and steady,
completing objectives a certain way. Which is why we decided to never neglect that Milsim aspect.
Right. See, and that's where I think that it's very cool in their show. You take some Milsim guys, you put it in the speedball era, and then you've got these guys that are like trying to speedball it out, and you got these other dudes who are trying to take a tactical approach and just go for the objective.
Ironically, season 1, the Milsim teams did better. That's why when I'm getting so much pushback, I'm like, obviously because we know the results of it, but I'm getting so much pushback from the Milsim community, and I'm trying to convey it without having a product out there for them to see.
Right.
And that's where the static is coming in. But I'm confident, Jake's confident, my team's confident that once they have the visual, they'll say it'll be like an aha moment where it's like, this is what these guys were trying to do. Now this makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
when we went to Radio Silence and we met up with the Puerto Rican guys.
Yeah.
And Fiji, Mr. Speedball
MSD
God.
Speedsoft. Yeah.
I realized right then how much the Milsim and the Speedsofters can really put our differences aside and work together.
Yeah.
Bro,
I can't run like that.
No, my knees, I would have blown a knee up if I ran like that, dude. Okay? So it's, you can have the Milsim guys go do their slow, hard attacks, whatever, and then let the speedballers or whoever you call them, go in objective-based shit.
Right.
You tell Fiji to run a mile, and you tell me to run a mile and say, go, that motherfucker will be there in 20 seconds. Right? Yeah, it ain't happening. What? Go ahead.
So, not to cut you off, but I just want to paint a picture real quick, and maybe the audience can kind of understand it, and maybe they'll take something away from this. So, I've been to Milsims, and I've played CQB. I've played Speedsoft. I've done both. And the biggest thing that was missing for me was the retention of information. And what I mean by that is when you're playing at your local field, CQB, you hit somebody, they walk back to spawn. It's like, there's no point system. There's no I won to me, right?
Right.
And then Milsim is kind of even worse because now you're shooting at a longer distance. So it's like, did the guy call his hit? If he did call his hit, how many people have I actually got out? You know what I mean? So Airsoft Pro League's goal in itself was to kind of be the shoelaces for that boot and tie that together and offer a visual representation of, okay, this team has this many points, this team has done these many objectives, this team has these many eliminations, this player, statistics. So now everyone could say like, oh, I'm a really good, Milsim player, or I'm really good at speedsoft, but where's the chart? Where's the statistics? How do you know that?
This makes sense to me. Okay.
So
no, and that actually kind of leads, right. Right, and that kind of leads right into my next question, which was what separates your guys' content from non-paid content? Because anybody, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it a million times since your first kind of talk and everything, like anybody can go on YouTube and watch Airsoft content. Now, you don't have to be very smart to understand that when guys are recording stuff and making YouTube content. Granted, I like to say that Task Force Podcast has good quality audio and video for the most point, but what I'm saying is like nobody can really approach a game with that quality. Like you're not going to take a fucking your M50 Canon out like we did and record an Airsoft game because you're not going to get to play. You have to work the camera, so you're not going to get that quality. So obviously you have to give them that these guys are bringing a higher level of quality to the gameplay video that they're bringing. So with that off the table, what separates your guys' content from the unpaid content? That's my
I can literally answer that, and then Jake, you can take it away. I can answer it with one word: continuity. There's at no point where from the start of an Airsoft Pro League match to the end of it, do you not know what's going on? There's no point where a player gets eliminated that we don't have that on camera. There's no point that a player gets revived that we don't have that on camera.
Right.
There's no point that an objective gets completed that we don't have that on camera. We can tell the full story of everything that happened in the match. Versus, look, I think that there's some great Airsoft content out there via first-person, GoPro, and maybe even a DSLR,
Right.
But you're always going to have dark spots in the footage. We know this because we filmed this once already.
Yes. And you only get one half. You only get one half.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So the ability to tap into a shootout and get both perspectives. BB's flying over my shoulder. I'm returning fire. I throw a grenade. Where the grenade hit. Where it exploded. Right. So, I mean, that is the best way for me to describe it. And then I'm sure Jake could even go further.
So right off the gate, this is something that no Airsoft has ever seen before. And what I mean by that is that this is a game show. We have a host. We have on-field reporters. We have interviews of the players who actually played in the game. You're going in-depth into the character. You're getting to know them as well. This whole game show, this is a big entertainment package where these players, these everyday Airsofters, who now have a platform to aspire to compete at a pro level, are now competing against military and law enforcement, people that are trained, and now the Airsofters are playing against this house team, which is similar to the American Gladiators from the big show American Gladiators.
Right.
And now you have these teams competing against this house team. Mm-hmm. This house team is put in place to ensure that there is no cheating, no hit calling, because the house team, they are the fixed villains on the show.
Right.
They have no skin in the game.
Yeah.
So once these teams battle out and we have our top final 4 finalists, we go forward into a finals gauntlet. Now, this is team versus team, insane objectives, insane fights. You're going to see stuff where in Airsoft, you only know of what? Grenades and electric guns, gas blowback guns. You're going to see players with shields. You're going to see players with unconventional weaponry, unconventional tactics, things that you're like before when you said like role playing and stuff like that. You're going to see, forget Milsim and Speedsoft, you're going to see characters that come out and really perform and insane engagement. You're going to see the angles that you've always been dying for, the fighting, the back and forth, the first person, the drone shots. It's going to be a whole big game show that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. And on top of that, another reason why that this thing sets it apart is that you may know someone that is in the Airsoft Pro League because it's players of the sport from our region. And the beautiful thing about the Airsoft Pro League, why I would support it, whether I was involved in it or not, is the fact that as an Airsoft player, the 99% are just consumers. You're just a consumer. All you do is you spend money to a sport, and only a top 5 content creators or a top 5 companies make the money in Airsoft. With something like the Airsoft Pro League, establishing this league, the everyday Airsoft player has a higher level to aspire to. I want to compete at a professional level. And once you compete in these things, the average player now has an ability to create branding relationships with other companies. And now you go from being an average player to being a content creator, entrepreneur, businessman just by being a part of the Airsoft Pro League.
What I want to know, that would help Airsoft Pro League a bunch is from a constructive perspective, because, on the internet, you get a lot of trolls. And I can troll with the best of them. I mean, Jake yells at me sometimes if he's like, bro,
Yep.
And I'm like, but at the end of the day, I'm a fighter. So it's like, I don't know how to just...
Good cop, bad cop. I'm a good cop.
Right. Exactly. So my question to Airsoft, to Task Force Podcast is, as a player, what do you guys want to see? What concerns you the most about Airsoft Pro League even existing, if anything? And what would you guys like to see the most as a viewer, as a consumer, as a fan, and as a player of Airsoft?
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to say something and then I'll answer your question. Also because I got to kind of build an answer in my head, but with you guys, you said something about being like the American Gladiator. I want to touch on that a little bit because a lot of people kind of, I feel like, misconstrued that. Like, you're taking the name of Airsoft Gladiator and blah, blah, blah. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think, this was saying, when you say it's like American Gladiator, it's to give you a reference point of, hey, we take... It just, if you thought the show fucking Average Joe, which, if you know what I'm talking about, was on Spike TV, it was basically another version of American Gladiator. Like, they could have said the same fucking thing. We're taking an average airsoft player and putting them against somebody who should be able to beat them. In your head, you would think they would be like, oh, they'll wipe them out with no problems. They're trained to do this.
Exactly.
Law enforcement, military personnel, whatever the hell you want to say. These guys do this for a living. They've been trained. This should be able to be a sweep.
Exactly.
And that was the whole point of American Gladiator back in the day. I know there's a lot of young people who don't know what it is. Okay. They took the average guy who said, I could do these tasks and I could beat these muscled up fucking dudes who do this as a living and we'll make it work.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what they were getting at. So I just wanted to touch on that it's not taking the name American Gladiator and saying blah, 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 using it as a reference point to give you kind of an understanding of what the show is supposed to be. Like
the biggest, and I'm glad that you sent that full send. The reason why we reference American Gladiator is more from a formatting perspective,
right?
More to let the viewer know, okay, that this is a kind of Joe's versus pros kind of team versus house team kind of format. So, and I know a lot of people are really getting tied up with the pro league. Right. Saying pro league. I mean, the reason why we even added the word pro in our name is because these contestants are competing for $5,000 in cash and prizes. It's not like they're coming on, they're getting like a shiny trophy, and then it's like, it's not Little League. Right. This is a legitimate amount of money. There's game shows that don't even give that amount of money.
See,
that are on, national television.
Right. You see, and so to answer your guys' question, what I would like to see from a consumer standpoint, I'm going to be dead honest with you here, okay?
We need that.
Would I have liked to have seen a teaser episode so that way I would have had an idea, like, even if it was just the same fucking play style that somebody else does, but in your guys' version, you know what I'm saying? Just release a pilot episode so that way people know what they're looking at. Not even the quality, the continuity, like you're talking about. That way people could be like, okay, holy shit, this one episode was straight fire. I want to pay the, what is it, $24.99?
Correct.
I want to pay the $24.99 to get more of this. I want to see what happens with this.
So I'm going to drop a Task Force podcast exclusive. The first episode of Airsoft Pro League will be for free, and it will drop at the end of October completely for free because we listened to people like you. They gave us their honest opinion about it.
Right.
And we appreciate you sending that full send. So, yes, it will be for free, 100%. So, the first episode.
That's the real deal, dude. I can't get enough of that. That's actually, but no. So, I mean, that's the only really approach like I took from it whenever I listened to you guys talk about it and I listened to rebuttals was, yes, I can agree. I'd like to know a little bit about what I'm spending my money on other than a 30-second clip. Even though these people out here go to Burger King, spend $20 and watch a 30-second clip of a burger on TV that looks like nothing that you buy.
I'll pay $60 for ice cream.
Right.
So I do.
So
I mean, let's talk about real quick too. That number $24.99. We didn't pull that out of the sky. So we landed at a $24.99 price because KWA, which is great partners of ours, great sponsorship partners of ours, actually gave us the Ronin T10 fully hooked up, two-tone, one of 50. The Ronin 47 that just dropped. Mm-hmm. We have an SSG-1, and we have a complete loadout from Viper Tactical that is up for grabs in that $24.99 price. So we figured, all right, look, we can't let this thing go for $10 and not recoup any of that money because KWA, again, great partners of ours. All of these companies that sponsored us, great partners of ours. But it cost a lot of money to produce this thing, so it was like the juice had to be worth the squeeze, right? So we wanted to give the viewer and the consumer of our product a chance to have something back for the money. Not only, and then another thing that I've been hearing is this is subscription-based like Netflix. This is not subscription-based like Netflix. It's not $24.99 per episode. All it is $24.99 one time. If you get it in the pre-sale period, you are eligible for one of those 4 giveaways. And then it unlocks the entire season. $24.99 unlocks the entire season, including the free episode, obviously, that we're giving out at the end of October. And the official first season will drop Black Friday.
Okay. So with that being said, we had some private conversation before this, and I won't bring up any of that, but I will say, just for the people who are watching this and the people who really have a problem with $24.99, there's a shit ton of patches out there that cost $24.99 that have got some fucking bent over Asian chick holding a flashbang that you'd be like, hell yeah, I'm buying that shit, put it on my gear. $24.99. So I just want to say, like, dude, you have to take into consideration. That's just what it is.
That's what's on your mind.
Especially speedball.
I see now. All right, go ahead.
But with that being said, if you think that you're going to bring this level of quality, and I said this actually in our last episode, I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but the last episode I said, there's no way somebody can bring this amount of quality and it not cost money. Like, you got all this shit, you got guys flying drones, I'm sure those guys weren't free. I'm sure renting scissors wasn't free. I'm sure renting the space wasn't free. So do I expect that you guys are trying to make bank off this? Not really. Do I expect that you would eventually like to get to a point where maybe it was something you could do for a living? Most definitely. I'd lie if I said that wasn't why we do our show. It would be awesome if I could do this for a living. But with that being said, everything you guys are doing is costing money, and so to recoup some of that, even if you don't make money, but you get to bring some betterment to the airsoft community, it's the way to go. You've got something to say.
I do.
Say it.
Yes. Okay.
And that's where we came from.
Go ahead, Nasty.
To all the people that were like, oh, if you pay for Netflix, you pay for Hulu, you pay for Spotify, Apple Premium Music, whatever. Think of that as your monthly bill.
Right.
You have to pay that per month. That's $60-$70 depending on who you are. Right. So for $24.99 for a whole fucking season of some of the most quality shit you'll ever get.
Plus, if you don't like it and you think it's shit, you still got entered for a giveaway where you could win something that's potentially worth more than
30 times more
than what
you've put into it.
Right.
What's the T10 retail for, Jake? I think $550. Am I right about that?
No. I think it's either $6.99 or $5.99 for the T10.
Okay.
So go ahead.
No,
the T10 comes with a Gate Titan MOSFET. It comes with a Titan battery, 11.1, 2600 milliamp. It comes with a Gate USB drive and the wire and the adapter to reprogram it. It comes with a speed trigger. I mean, that alone is a ridiculous deal. And I think.
So by showing so much love back to the person who's gonna spend that $24.99, it's ridiculous. And plus, like, why not pay $24.99 to see something you can only get from gentlemen like these guys?
Yeah.
You'll never see somebody put effort like that into something like this.
Well, being an airsofter. Just real quick, I was saying, being an airsofter, we wanted it to be almost the price of a mid-cap magazine.
Right.
Right.
So just literally.
You're gonna buy a fucking couch for $24.99.
Right.
One.
I know.
That's how we came up with the price. Me and Jake came up with the price. I said, Jake, how much is a magazine? He said, high cap, mid cap.
Dude.
Like, that's so.
And
I mean, that being said, right, I think a lot of the pushback too is not genuine pushback.
No.
What we're seeing is so we talked about beats before and stuff like, and I used to manage artists. So a lot of times there's a term in the music industry called clout chasing.
Yes.
And what we're seeing, what we're seeing a lot is like, you'll have a quote unquote influencer, right? And they'll be talking, they'll be giving their very biased opinion about Airsoft Pro League after, we've had very cordial conversations in direct messages and invited them down to the set so that they can have a real inside scoop on what we were doing. They did not take advantage of that at all. Rather, what they did was they decided to go on video and, give their biased opinion, which is fine. I'm cool with that. And then right after they, of course, they drop their merch line and they say, hey, buy my mug with a sticker on it for $24.99.
Well, see what I think is the
don't buy the APL, but
you want to
that mug though.
Buy this mug.
What I think is the funniest thing out of this whole thing is like, I don't know if you guys know this, but negative press is still press. So more people are talking about APL.
Crazy.
Right. More people are talking about APL now than they probably were before. So negative, positive. As a business owner, yes, I will say, even from the Task Force podcast stance, I'm sure we'll get some heat for the podcast, but like,
fuck them.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, you have to take the approach of like, whatever, you can say what you want. You can say what you want. At the end of the day, the people who watch this show, the people who want to come and do this with us, those are the real homies that we enjoy to talk with and have on the show. And, if you want to take part, you can. If you don't want to take part, hey man, no love lost. I really don't care.
Exactly. And look, I want to put a disclaimer out there real quick for Task Force Podcast. So, this has been a very great conversation, very positive conversation, the type of conversation that APL wants to be involved in, right? And as far as if you do get any blowback from the viewers, and this is coming from the horse's mouth here, Task Force Podcast, in the name podcast, you guys are a media outlet, okay? Right. So the fact that you're allowing a brand to come onto your outlet and just give a voice to the brand is exactly how media should work.
Right.
And the problem with America right now is that that's not being done on a big scale.
Fake news.
Exactly. So, in my opinion, you're doing it right.
Well, we appreciate it. And everybody else needs to understand that what we're making off doing this right now, it's pure fun and talking to some gentlemen about great content.
$0.
I will never ask for anything. So
this.
Also add
exactly.
That.
Yeah.
But no, would that be, I still have more questions for you guys.
Let's do it. Let's get into it, juicy.
How many episodes are we looking at per season?
Yeah, so you're looking at 7 full episodes and 1 free episode.
Okay, 7 full episodes, 1 free episode, so 8 total episodes for season 1.
Exactly, and each episode will break down like this. It'll go Team A versus Team B. That's versing the contractors, so they're not actually versing each other in one game mode. And as much as we really want to release these game modes, I can't because that's our baby. Right. The game modes were so outlandish. I mean, when you're thinking about what Airsoft Pro League is, and like when the people that are following it, they're probably thinking about like these super tactical like hostage
break the door down
situations. Like, I mean, it was borderline ridiculous the things that we made these teams go through. Like, we didn't want to take such a serious approach on it. I mean, yes, we wanted to make it competitive and challenging, but, we wanted a soccer mom to be able to look over her little 12-year-old shoulder and say, all right, like, it's cool you're watching this. This is a game. This is not, they're not teaching you how to kill people here.
Right. Yes.
So, I want, but low key.
But no, see, and that was another thing. I felt like everybody was so pissed that you wouldn't reveal your game modes. Like, their biggest rebuttal was like, they're going to get ripped off. Well, no fucking shit. Why would I let them rip it off earlier than they need to?
Exactly.
I don't understand that. Like, why? I could make you a mini video on Instagram and tell you what our next podcast was going to be about, but why would you want to watch the next podcast?
Yeah, right.
So
exactly.
that's pretty fucking stupid, in my opinion.
And to expand on that, it's like also like from the game modes perspective too, is like, you know, if we give it to you now, you're not going to watch it,
right.
Because you're going to, and then also you want me to sit here on your podcast and describe with words, what am I, Socrates? Right. Like, watch the episode. If I describe it with words, is they going to do it? Like, that's like me trying to describe American Gladiator to someone and then be interested in it. Well, you got this really buff guy, and he's going to fake wrestle another buff guy on a pedestal, and whoever falls off wins.
Yeah. We're wearing spandex the whole time.
So are you watching that show?
If you guys were wondering what the APL was going to be, it's actually going to be a bunch of really skinny dudes in spandex playing airsoft, wrestling each other.
Already worth paying for.
So that's the game.
And the other thing is if you give someone a small insight, they're going to fantasize what it's about and then be okay with that in their heads and never want to go watch it.
Right.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Then my next question is like, so how I don't really know a good way to word this. So you guys are picking players to come play and be basically whether you want to call it official or non-official pro Airsoft League player.
Negative.
Right. So
we have a process.
Okay. So exactly. So that was going to be my question was,
yeah.
So going forward, obviously, if this thing does take off,
which it will,
people will be excited to be like, there's a chance to be a pro Airsoft player.
Yeah.
How are you guys going about vetting that? Like, how are you vetting?
Okay.
This is who we're picking. This is who we're not.
See, amazing questions. See, these are the type of questions that's going to build an audience. These are the type of questions that I want to be asked. The last podcast that we were on, you know, off air, they were one way. As soon as it came on, it turned into like an attack fest, you know. Yeah. And when I didn't want to give them the answers that they wanted, it went left. But anyway, so the way that I can answer that question, the only quote on quote off pro is going to be the winner. The winning team, and the reason why we can call them pros, same way in MMA, they get paid.
Right.
They made $5,000 in cash and prizes to win the Airsoft Pro League.
And they have that stamp of approval.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. There's
how we get the players is another process.
Right.
Yeah. There's no pros in the Airsoft Pro League that don't win the Airsoft Pro League.
Right.
So I really, you know, I hope that a lot of people hear this because that's the biggest thing.
I don't know if you guys are noticing this, but we also got some American Iron Chef in there too. So like when the chef becomes a pro chef, maybe the pro chef can go against the rookie chefs.
Yeah.
So we can also say it's kind of like American Chef.
Why did we have to bring up food?
I don't know.
Right? I love food.
But no, so cool.
Well,
that's
was my main question.
Yeah.
Another way to. We also had a draft. We had an official Airsoft Pro League open tryout at Strikeforce Sports, and basically we had a scaled down version of the APL, and there was a tryout, and all the people from the Northeast region or anyone that could fly down or make it came down and played. We actually have some gameplay of that. It's some really cool gameplay. I believe it's on our Instagram page at the Airsoft Pro League. And so, yes, we had that open tryout, and the best players, the winning teams from that open tryout were drafted. As well, Chris and I are active players, so as we play and support other local fields, I personally, and Chris as well, also drafted some players, some standout players that gave us a run for our money and invited them to come down to the tryouts.
Jake and I must have played every week for 2 months at a different field. Like we went everywhere drivable, you know, and that's why it's like it's super strange to me the push. Like I've even had people be like, "You don't even play Airsoft." It's like, dude,
I just want to break this down into a version of
for
like
people like me.
So basically, what these guys are saying they did was they basically had some people come in and do 1v1 on shipment to decide who win on the pro league.
Right, essentially.
Yes. Okay. So now they 1v1 these dudes, and the winners got to go on the pro league. And this is what
catch me.
This
on
is what I was like,
because
I didn't know like what that kind of process looked like.
Right.
And I just know going forward, I said, that's the tier that people want to achieve. Like people don't play football and don't want to be pro. People don't want to do this and not be pro. So that's the way.
And certain, we did pick certain, like very select, but we picked certain players also by their personalities because we wanted. How would I say this? I want to say this correctly. We wanted to bring their persona to life. You know, like some of these players in Airsoft.
Tristan Art and Airsoft.
Exactly.
We had him on the show. First guest we ever had on Task Force Podcast. Tristan Art and Airsoft. Perfect example of somebody who has a persona. Even kind of threw me the fuck off a little bit when we were interviewing him. I was like, whoa, I don't know how to go with this. But I get what you guys were getting at. You want somebody who is willing to have a personality, LARP with it. That way you can use this to make that LARPing come to life.
Right.
And that's what Milsim players do. That's weird.
Yeah.
And then also it's like on a bigger perspective, it's like, what if Tristan off of the Airsoft Pro League gets acting gigs because an agent sees him acting in his character, and that's very possible. So
definitely
in the world of Emmett,
this is an opportunity for the Airsofter to grow. Not only in Airsoft,
it's a platform,
and grow the Airsoft game alone. Like you guys are very much so like the Task Force podcast. This podcast was meant to be able to bring on the little guy and let him give a platform for him to say, hey, this is what I am. This is what I'm about. And you don't have to have 1,000 subscribers to be on our show. We've had dudes who have played Airsoft less than a year. Like it's just about the sport or the hobby, whatever the fuck you want. That's all it is.
And if something comes from being on our show for you, something massive,
that's fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome, dude. Just remember me, bro. I was here, dude.
Exactly.
Like, just remember me.
And that's exactly what I meant by before when I said the 99% are usually just consumers. You know what I mean? There's no platform for them to grow. And I feel like this is something like places like your podcast, places like the APL are literally the soil where you guys can plant your roots and become something and turn your passion to a business, and become a consumer to a creator, and I think there's nothing bad about that.
And I think that, on a bigger scale, this is what I think Airsoft needs. And I don't pretend to be an Airsoft like guru. You know, I haven't been doing this for even a fraction of the time as you guys. Mm-hmm. But what in my little time in the community, I've learned something, and I've learned the level of toxicity that Airsoft comes with is the reason why the sport happens, behind closed doors, and it's also the reason why a guy can go on his camera in his mom's basement and make more money than if you are the most bomb Milsim player.
Right.
If you can clear a room with the best of them, if you can move, shoot, transition, everything. That doesn't mean anything. You're stuck buying the gear that this guy in his mom's basement is selling you.
Yeah. Hey man, controversy sells, and that I don't think there's anything that can ever change that. And I mean, I've said it before, the other podcasts, other content creators, like, I'm not a fucking content creator, dude. I barely get 100 views on our videos on here. We don't get that many downloads a month on the podcast. Like, we're not a creator. I'll be honest with you. We just two fucking dudes who make some videos who want to talk about Airsoft, and that's really
push other people's shit because we enjoy it.
Right. But you're creators then, man.
I mean,
give yourself credit. You're a creator
kind of.
By definition.
You are a creator. You created the Task Force. You created this platform.
Right.
You guys are so good.
We appreciate it.
Well, listen,
we appreciate it for sure. But
I just wanted to tell, to kind of bring everything full circle. I appreciate your willingness to kind of have a very candid, very honest, very non-biased conversation about it. You know what I mean? It had the potential to go left or right. So
for sure.
So I appreciate that.
Well, you can always trust us to be just honest assholes.
Yeah.
Without being.
I mean, I can't. At the end of the day, I still can't lie to you. Like, will I probably buy Pro League? Probably not. Why? I'm on a tight budget, and $24.99 goes a long way for me, and that's fair to say. But with that being said, like, would I say, hey, Nasty, would you mind splitting this with me, and we cut the price in half for each other? He probably would be fine.
Shit,
with
I
it.
would
We
buy
could
2
do that.
subscriptions.
You see what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
care. Because I
we
live
could
in
do
my
that.
mom's basement, so I got that money, son. Like I will make this
Like,
happen.
You see what I'm saying?
I'll give you one better. We will give you the season for free out of appreciation for the non-biased
I don't
conversation.
I don't even want it for free. I'll be honest with you. I don't even want it for free because I'm not trying to be buyed out. Like, that's not at all how this is going, and it's not how it was before we even started recording. It's just us trying to bring. Like, I really want Airsoft to grow. Like, I wholeheartedly, no fake, no clout chasing, no bullshit. Airsoft was big for me when I was a kid, and I wanted to grow, and I wanted to get better, and that's what this could possibly offer as a household name for Airsoft. So with that being said, like, what I would like to... Go ahead.
I would just want to say, I do appreciate the offer, but this is something I am going to purchase. This is something I will purchase for Snake. This is something I will purchase for my man Thumper sitting behind the camera. For my man down the street. It's to me, from what it sounds like, because I did have my own doubts.
Yes, you would be surprised how negative of an outlook Nasty has on things.
Everything.
But you guys honestly, and that's why he's been so quiet, is he's just listening and trying to decide for himself. Yes. I know that's how he is. He's always been like that, and that's what he's been doing.
And I wholeheartedly believe in what you guys are doing. I will wholeheartedly support it with my money, my time, and my effort if I ever can do for you guys. I appreciate that. So
I appreciate that, man.
You have got me convinced that this is going to be some badass shit that I will love to watch, and I'll probably get in trouble at work for watching episodes. And I'm going to do it.
Just like your average consumer, I appreciate that. Just like your average consumer, if it's shit, you're going to be pounding on their DMs like, hey, man.
This is what I feel.
Hey. Right. But can I get a refund?
No.
And
Go ahead.
And another thing that you guys just like brought to my attention is that, for the people who are interested and want to purchase the first season, I look at it as this could be the first thing where, like you guys said, Airsoft gets a household name, where someone who never even heard of Airsoft is now watching the show and now is familiar to Airsoft. And the way I look at it is that there's the UFC of MMA. Now imagine by you supporting the culture, buying into the first season, you're literally a part of being of that first UFC.
Exactly.
It's like buying stock in Red Bull before Red Bull was Red Bull, and you're literally being a part of the culture moving forward from this plateau that it was at.
It's like the Radio Silence event. Right. For the people who got to go, you are the reason this will progress.
Right.
Yes.
And it was sick.
By you.
Shout out Ian, man. It was sick.
Yeah. Shout out Grim Near Tactical.
Yes, and all the gentlemen and ladies. So I hopefully will I hope to see this get to the point where you could even have a sit-in crowd to watch this go down.
That would be cool.
That would be fucking dope.
Right.
I would fly my fat ass all the way to New York to sit down the side.
You gotta be a judge in the next season, man.
I'm fucking in. I will sit. Your shit, leave. No, I'll but I think this could be fucking awesome.
I think also you brought to my attention a good thing. I just want to get out there. Growing the sport of Airsoft, we always say it's as easy as taking somebody to play, right?
Right.
Right now, with everything that's going on in the world, COVID, this fucking pandemic, this bullshit.
It ain't that easy anymore.
You can't just pick somebody up and say, hey, we're going to fucking play Airsoft. It's not that easy. This is your chance to be able to say, like, look, bro, you want to know what Airsoft's about?
Watch
this with me.
Exactly.
And I guarantee that guy who's never played would be like, hey, let's go fucking play this shit. This would be cool.
Exactly. That I can promise you, they will say, I need to play that. Where do I play that? So I have one question for you guys too.
Right. No, definitely.
What?
Thumper was saying that. Sorry, I was just going to throw this in there. He was saying that it has its roots in the original Airsoft, like where we first started. Like I started playing in my backyard, kind of like little miniature speedball, and it really does. I feel like it has a chance to bring back that kind of grassroots home
nostalgia
for Airsoft
for
too.
me. Yeah. So
really
go ahead.
does.
What were you saying?
All right. So again, we don't have any details worked out. Jake and I literally had one preliminary conversation and one meeting about this. But how do you think that the airsoft community would respond to an Airsoft Pro League Season 2 Milsim edition, being a controlled environment with a squad going into a controlled environment with non-combatants, with combatants, with objectives, missions, and having a score system, having objectives equate into points, eliminations equate into points, and knowing, who's doing what at all times.
Right. I think if you want, again, my unbiased opinion, my straight answer, if done properly, it could be very cool, and the Milsim guys would want it. It kind of reminds me of a show that was hosted by Will Willis, and it was like he went in against 5 guys in the Op 4. I don't even know the name of the show. It was actually a really good show. I liked it quite a bit. They used chalk rounds. It was really cool. I think if you did something along those lines, kind of like that, like here's a squad of dudes, they have this mission set objective, they have blah, blah, blah to take care of before they can get this done. There's this many people who are unarmed. If they get shot, they have to, maybe they lose something, they lose a teammate, they lose whatever. Like it could be really cool, and I think you would gain the additional of the Milsim crowd, as now you're talking, hey, maybe it's a little bit more slowed down. It's not quite speedball. Now it's more objective and tactics based with everything that's going on. And I think it could be really cool. Definitely could be something that would be an interest to them. And it's cool that you're looking at going another direction.
And for a simple-minded person like me, that's just fucking gangster. I'm in. Like, I don't even care. You just set me in and tell me what to do, dude. I'm in. Like,
That's great. So, I mean, look, like I said, I just wanted to drop that on the Task Force podcast, too, is that we are formulating what Season 2 is going to look like already, and that is one of the cards in the deck that we're trying to really decipher if we will be able to pull it off correctly, because that's the thing, and you're going to see with Season 1, and this is coming from a very humble place, we truly do not do anything less than 100%.
Right.
So if I think I can't do it right, I'd rather not do it. Right. And that's why Season 1 isn't dropping until Black Friday, because we want to make sure we have enough time that this thing is absolutely close to perfect.
No, hey man, I feel you. If we don't feel like a show's going good for us, we just ditch the whole fucking thing.
Why can't you tell me how many podcasts we have no one knows of? You know, it's that way. I have music no one's ever heard. He has things no one's ever seen. Like, I see this being a very, 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 very awesome experience for people, and I can't wait until Season 1. It will be purchased, so all you fuckers out there who don't think that I buy shit, I do, and and I'll show you the receipt, the credit card statement. I don't care.
No,
my guys, thank you.
Definitely, we thank you guys for coming on the show and giving us your time.
Thank you. Seriously.
But I also got to take some time to thank our Task Force podcast sponsors. Right? So,
yes.
With that being said, if you are looking for some quality BBs to go out and slay bodies on the APL field, 6mm plastic is your go-to. You should look no farther than them. 6mmplastic.com. They got everything you need. And use code TASKFORCE.
Best ammo in the game.
Yes. Code TASKFORCE 2020 for 10% off your order from them. As well, if you want to make your helmet and your headset look Gucci AF, you need to go check out dynamicfuzz.com. They've got all the upgrades for your MSA Swordens and making your shit just look swag as fuck. You can use code TFPOD to get 15% off your order from them. And a newbie.
Uh-oh. A new one.
If you want some of the dopest knives on the airsoft field, you can go check out TS Blades. They are actually now sponsoring Task Force Podcast, and they have offered a discount code for you guys to use. It is code TS-Task Force Podcast. We'll get you 15% off your order from them. And I'm telling you, they've got some actually really cool fucking knives. We picked up some,
I bought some at
holy shit, they are really fucking
dope.
nice.
Yep.
Nothing like
I run them too. Yeah.
So, check those guys out. Yep. Check out the APL. The first season right now, pre-order's still going on, $24.99 for the first season.
Yeah.
get you 8 episodes. And if you're really not sure if you want to do it or not, check it out the end of October. They're going to drop 1 episode. The first episode is going to be free, so that way you Nancy's who are unsure about what you're buying, you can go ahead, get it, and give it a go. And then you can place your order from there for the rest of the season because it can be dope AF.
Or just fucking buy it anyway.
Right.
I mean,
get in on the giveaway. They're giving away a lot of stuff.
Oh my God.
And it's a chance. Give Airsoft Pro League a chance.
Right.
Don't just shut it down. Give it a chance. We all gave Milsim a chance at one point in time.
Yeah.
We all gave Speedball a chance at one point in time.
We've also done stuff to get the name Nasty one time. So
yes,
it just it works that way. And take that how you please, gentlemen.
So please take the time. Go there. At least check out Airsoft Pro League. And if you're not following or subscribed to Task Force Podcast, I don't know what you're doing wrong in your life, but you're missing out a lot of good content such as this. So we love you guys.
Smash that button.
Yeah.
we love you guys, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Hey.